Each episode 1 and episode 2 are very different in tone and in style. They're very different kinds of Doctor Who episodes.
I think it's a better reflection on Doctor Who than the first episode was.
So everybody understands the love story, and it's quite a sad love story, really.
It almost gets a little bit domestic, I think.
I think the fans will pretty much appreciate what we've done here.
There's a lot I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody involved knew how much work it was going to turn out to be.
As a new director, I was quite worried because I'm not that knowledgeable really about Doctor Who for a start, but I think that's part of an interesting challenge, trying to find out. I wasn't really sure how to make it relevant and make sure that the fans were going to go, oh yeah, that's the correct way to do it. I suppose it's a little less pressurised because it was a mix with Aliens, which I had, Alien and the Alien franchise, which I had seen a bit more of.
If there was anything that wasn't working, she's quite good at kind of spotting it and figuring out what's not working with it. So having someone there to come in and sort of look at it and understand it, there's nothing worse when you have a director comes in and don't have a clue what they're doing, and they literally come in and say that doesn't work for me, and it's like, well, that's incredibly useful, isn't it? But if you're able to go in and say, that doesn't work and this is why, maybe try this, which is great, and that's exactly what she did.
I loved how the short slotted in with episode 2, and I had always had a little reservation as to how that would work because it was a different director who did the short, from obviously Lauren directing the 2 episodes.
We had Bill and we had Hamish, and they were so experienced and so brilliant to have around. They had their own little dressing room, and they came in just straight away got on so well, and you could just see how professional they were. They knew their lines, they were running lines together. So it was quite nerve-wracking really to have to try and give them direction when they just don't even really need it.
Creating the Alien Queen was a lot of fun. I'd always wanted to have a go at creating my own 3D Alien Queen, and this gave me a good opportunity to go ahead and do that. I did want to inject my own slant to it, but I didn't want it to change it too much from the James Cameron Alien Queen, because it is just an incredible monster, and probably people wouldn't have been very happy if I made it look wildly different. So I did have a lot of fun building it, and I didn't want to make it look too different. I wanted to give her more than just a simple black cockroach type shell that she had in the movie. I wanted to give her a more kind of organic flesh, and that's what that was something I had a lot of fun experimenting with. Initially we had to create concepts and show concepts as well as show the quality of her work. Unfortunately, everything that we showed was liked, and it was slow going at first because we had to create a lot of assets from scratch, like say the Archer spaceship, which was great fun to make and design and to animate, and it took quite a wee while to make, but once it was made, things moved quite quickly from that. For example, part 2 moved a lot faster than part 1 because the asset of the Archer was there, it was made. I liked animating all the alien scenes, they were great, because discussing with Ryan about what some might consider to be over the top violence and gore. We've got to appease two fan bases. With Besieged, it's not just Doctor Who, it's also Alien fans. And Aliens are very much horror action movies, so there's a slight Doctor Who, family, Alien, violence and gore crossover. The one where the blonde soldier's being shredded, I basically got told you're off the leash. Not quite as off the leash as I suggested to Ryan. He says, no, don't do that. And I won't say what it was on camera, but it would have been XX rated. But you know, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
I think it's been smashing. And I look at what they've done with the CGI effects. It's just outrageous and great fun, because we don't have to take it too seriously. It's a Doctor Who story. And if you get frightened, you get down behind the sofa.
One of the most challenging parts was, again, the cavern scenes. They were quite difficult, but very satisfying once I got them done. I learned a lot doing that, and I turned down some opportunities of going on set for some of those shots, not for any real reason other than I've got a lot of assets to make for this. My time's spent better. I'm in studio getting it done. And I turned down the opportunity to go to the set. I would not do that again, because a lot of things that were done, this is a learning experience for me as well. And I think it was a learning experience for a lot of the other crew as well. I would make suggestions on it being done differently, only because I know better now. You know, some of that was very difficult, very challenging. It involved a lot of manual masking, a lot of manual animating, and I was pretty happy with the results. But that was those shots were tough.
I was gobsmacked when I saw what, you know, considering the budget that this was made on. I was amazed that, you know, exactly what was achieved with just, you know, very few funds, but it looks spectacular when basically all you're standing in is a room in Govan with a green sheet behind you. You just do what you do and say, right, this is going to be something over there. Oh, by the way, something's jumping at you, so do that. And it's just you fling yourself about like an idiot. And then afterwards, you see, right, that's why I was flinging myself about like an idiot.
Initially, when Ryan asked me to come on board, he spoke to me about there was some muzzle flares, some green screen work. But he mentioned the big final scene, the regeneration scene, which that's the one that perked my ears up. Over the course of the ensuing months, I did more and more, but my main focus was the regeneration scene. And then I did an energy transfer scene, and then there was an infection going on as well, which was pretty cool. The thing I'm most proud of on Besieged is actually something that hopefully nobody will notice. That's like the holy grail of visual effects. There's a shot in the regeneration scene at the end where the Doctor walks away and Lydia's in the background walking off, and the director felt that it was slightly distracting and taken away from his exit, and I was charged with removing her from that shot, which I was able to do quite successfully. And it's one of those ones that nobody knows it's a visual effects shot, but it is, and that's the kind of thing I'm most proud of. It's one of those, holy cow, that's awesome.
The inspiration for the alien, sort of the sound of the alien planet and the ship and stuff like that, it was kind of, I had to sort of draw on Alien, and I think I was drawing more on Alien rather than Doctor Who, but sort of sound design from Alien and stuff like that. My idea for the ship was to try and make it sound as if the ship was kind of a sort of breathing organism in itself, and as the episodes go on, it gets more and more infected and horrible and damp. Alien screams and roars and stuff like that, I was aiming to emulate the actual ones in the film, but I wanted to design it myself just because, I just wanted to. And and basically a lot of it was animals hissing and roaring and stuff like that, but sort of messing around with the pitch and stuff like that to make it sound more alien. And obviously there's a lot of like sort of saliva noises and stuff in the original Alien sounds, so there's stuff like that. Like for example, when Erebus is talking in the second part when he's all infected, I put sort of a nice horrible saliva sound underneath all his words, so he would sound more like an alien.
So, Doctor, we meet at last.
For designing the teleport noise, that was, I wanted to try and give the impression that they were being put into another physical place with sort of energy, so it was kind of an explosion of energy and them arriving. So it's mainly an explosion, and I think it's mainly explosion actually, just put in but affected to sound like something else. I quite enjoyed designing the sound of the planet because I was trying, like the concept of the sound design for that to be around radio waves, so all of the wind, and not all of it, but most of the wind and sort of alien planet sounds that you hear when they first teleport into the planet is all made from radio static and stuff. I just got my old radio and recorded flipping through static and stuff like that, and used that as part of the sort of soundscape to try and give it a properly alien sort of ambience to it. The most challenging part of the film for me was trying to do the sound design for the action scenes, because you always want to make it louder and more intense and stuff like that, but there's limited dynamic range and limited space for you to make it louder, and you've got to try and do various tricks to make it seem louder without just moving up a fader sort of thing.
It's not very often a zero budget film or even a fan film will go to the lengths of building sets from scratch, and we just had to do it. There was no other way around it. We couldn't find an existing location to make it look like a ship, the bridge of a spaceship, or we didn't have the money to go in and film in existing laboratories and do what we had to do with them. So how the hell are we supposed to do this? And Dave Newman just went, well, we could try this and try that and do it that way.
Felicity said, you know what we could do? We could just build it out of stage flats, and that should work. And then that became a reality, which through the grace of God and the sort of the big borrowing steel of theatre flats, hardboards, and anything that really kind of would stitch them together, we ended up somehow building rooms in an empty hall. Some of which actually, in fact all of which, look great. If you actually look at the stuff on screen, you wouldn't have guessed that the majority of what you're actually watching on screen is made out of like half-inch thick ply strapped together with a wing of prayer, some screws and some gaffer tape. What do we actually want to fit inside the set as far as people, as far as the actual set? If you've got, say you want to build a lab, then you have your actual room you've got. How big's the room? So therefore, what can you fit in it? What lights can you fit in it? What people can you fit in it? You do have, to a certain extent, you've got limitations there. If you're going to build it yourself, then the only limitations really you have is, well, to an extent, how much wood do you have and gravity at times. But essentially what that gives you a kind of bit more free rein. You know, you can build the set the size you want it, you can build the set the shape you want it, you can light it from above rather than actually having to worry about there being a roof there. You know, you can take out a wall, you can put it back in a wall. It's, in hindsight, it'd be a better thing to do with more people to help build it and a little more of a budget, but essentially you're doing low budget filmmaking, you work with what you've got. So if you have a couple of folk, some cheap paint and lots of sheets of MDF, then that's what we do. And amazingly you can actually make that look quite good with a bit of thought and imagination.
It was a completely new experience because I'd never done anything like it before, and I just thought it was lovely. You know, it was hard work. That's a new experience. I've never been shot on screen before. I mean, shot with a gun thing on screen before, so that was all quite new.
Hamish comes back into the lab and is obviously infected and begs the doctor to kill him, and I just thought that the whole scene's beautifully played out.
So Ryan and I had a bit of a discussion about whether or not the doctor should be the person that shoots Dr. Hillard, or if we should make what was the final decision that it's Lydia that takes the fall for him really and has to do it because she really loves him and she doesn't want him to have to completely go against something that's not within his makeup.
The key scenes I was always really nervous about doing actually, but yeah, it was. But it's quite interesting as well because I think there was people were quite not sensitive, but were kind of respectful around us whenever we did those scenes.
You really have to be careful not to, I think, go too far, particularly with there's a very sort of subtle love story between Lydia and the Doctor. So I know they've never really crossed that line in the actual series, and I wouldn't want us to really cross it either. Possibly we do a little bit, but yeah, I hope that's not kind of sacrilege.
That reacquaintance, you know, sort of the story of the reacquaintance of Natalie, or Jennifer Byrne's part, Natalie and the Doctor, because there are some of them are quite poignant, you know, and it's kind of it kind of follows a pattern that has become more prevalent in the latest Doctor Who's, I think. Because I can't say that I'm one of the greatest exponents of the older Doctor Who's, but certainly the later ones when, you know, when David Tennant started doing it, and there was you got the feeling that he is a bit of a love him and leave him, or a heartbreaker, but there's also the point where he does it for their own benefit, so he doesn't want to lose them. As in, he doesn't want to, you know, doesn't want to see them die on some alien planet, or he doesn't want to see them die unnecessarily because a girder falls during World War II, that sort of thing. He needs a companion, but he doesn't want to keep them too long because he doesn't want to get too attached. He doesn't want them to get too attached to him. So I think any of those little bits all the way in between, kind of the best bits because it shows his human qualities.
I think we went. Hopefully, we went with the right decision. I think at first it was written that the Doctor would do it because it was mixed with the Alien franchise. We were wondering, should it be a bit more brutal and should he go ahead and do it? But then, if it's such an important part of the Doctor's makeup that he would never ever do that, we thought we had to. I think to keep that kind of pure a little bit. Jen and Ryan know each other fairly well and we're comfortable with each other, which is always nice because I know a lot of actors who can go in and just do it completely on the day when they've just met each other, but it was nice that they had previous friendship. So, and there was a lot of discussion back and forth about it. I just think they were really comfortable with it, and I think that probably showed.
And to watch the struggle, which this is going to sound like Ryan's paid me to say this, but obviously to watch that struggle that Ryan portraying that on the screen, it was, you know, it was really, really well played, and then obviously Lydia steps in and takes the gun off him and does it for him, which I think anyone in that scene would do that for him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's in so much pain, but it has to be done. It just has to be done. Yeah, I love that scene. Absolutely love it.
No.
Looking back, yeah, I probably would do it all again, but I would do it with a wiser head, you know. It was like there's a lot I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody involved knew how much work it was going to turn out to be. And as I've said to Ryan, I'm really glad it's all over now. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean that in the best way, because a lot of it looks great, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad it's over, because it's quite an accomplishment, the whole thing, by everybody.
It's worthy of a movie. I mean, it's a professional production. It was, once you see it, you're only doing one bit here and there, and you know the story. But when you see it all together, it was really, congratulations, really well done.
It was good fun, because I think a lot of folk were involved were either science fiction geeks or Doctor Who geeks, or just wanted to do something a little bit out of the ordinary, and I was no exception to that role. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end.
It's remarkable the quality of the achievement, given the fact that it was shot over, relatively speaking, a small number of days and weeks, and yet it has been edited and put together into something that is, I think, quite a considerable achievement. One of the things I do treasure, it was the last thing I did with Bill, and I was so upset when we heard that he had died, because he was a lovely man. He was very special, very funny, very dry, and it was a great pity that we lost him.
It is a very unique take on the Doctor, and taking the aliens from that universe and putting the Doctor in there was pretty cool, I thought. Throwing him against an adversary he's never had before. But it's well established, so you've got to play in the two sets of roles. So it was a very ambitious thing to do, and I think we've pulled it off.
I don't think any actor really likes watching themselves on screen, but it is really nice to see the kind of the fruit of your labour, as it were.
It was really nice to do something that was so heavy sci-fi and so heavy in cult status and cult references that people expect, to actually kind of just thread a love story all the way right through the middle of it, which is quite nice, and it makes it more appealing to people who are not maybe just Doctor Who or Alien fans.
And I think when you see all of the post-production, all the sound design, all the special effects all put together, and you really see how well as well the actors did to remember their characters from day to day, and how well makeup departments and everybody did keeping it all gelling as one big massive piece, then it's really satisfying.
I think it's amazing, the quality of the production and the quality of the script, the quality of the CGI, the quality of the set, which actually I think looks fantastic. I don't think the walls wobble in any way, do they? No, I don't think so.
Because we wore these big survival suits, which are designed to keep you alive if you fall in the North Sea.
Those f***ing red suits.
Ryan gets slapped by Bill.
Me slapping Ryan's face. It wasn't even a slap, it was just a tap. But I made sure that I had several takes to do it. Much to the amusement of everyone else in the room.
I kind of looked at the camera guys, it's like, have we got enough? And they were like, yeah, we've got enough. Then we just thought, just to satisfy Ryan, we'll get a bit more. So we just, and we thought he would kind of clock on a bit sooner, but we were like, right, okay, faster, left, right, up, down, get back.
He needed the exercise.
It's funny. It's Doctor Who. People don't get it. Okay, you just don't get it. Okay, because it's a Doctor Who reference and you don't watch Doctor Who.